Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How
Good
are
to
you
see you.
today?
Thank you for coming back.
No
I
problem. How is
feel
your
like
morning
so much
going?
has happened in the world since the last time we spoke, so there's a
Child, I
little
don't
more
even pay
going on.
attention. I stay
Yeah,
over here in my peaceful place.
that's right. That's right. Divine timing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump right in and let's do a breathing exercise before we get started, and then I'll ask my first question.
Okay.
All right, so let's breathe in with our nose for 5 seconds. Deep breath. One, two, three, 4, 5. Hold it and exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, welcome into this safe space today at Restorative Escapes. I would like to first ask you your name, who named you, and what is the meaning of your name?
Okay. So, hi, my name is Chantel Richard, and my brothers are the ones who actually named me. My mom wanted to name me Rashida. They're like, mom, don't do that. Don't do that. She can't run for president. She can't do nothing. But no, but yeah, so they named me Chantel. And my name, so I just discovered the meaning of my name. Um, and the meaning of my name is chosen. And I didn't
Mm.
discover this until I had my first daughter, my new baby. And just going through the process of trying to conceive, took me 2 years to try to conceive, and just how everything has aligned perfectly, and but yeah, when I felt her in my womb, I was like, man, God is so perfect. Like he
Yeah.
picked her for me, and he picked her for a time as this. And so when I saw how she was so chosen by God and so picked, handpicked, and so perfect, um, then I realized that, oh, my name is chosen. Like I must be chosen too. Like, and the light bulb went off, that yeah, God chose me for this, a time such as this, with my family and my household, and for this assignment, for this mission, for this purpose. And at that moment, I realized that I have meaning, my name and my purpose has meaning, um, just through having my first daughter. And, when I had my first daughter, I didn't realize that I don't have any control. I can't see what she looks like, I can't pick anything. I don't have control of the process, but the whole pregnancy is just God's plan, like, to be carried to term, and she's growing healthy. She's having one arm, one leg. Every time I turn around, she has something new. But, I'm just a carrier. I'm just a vessel, but I can't really pick her. God picked her. And so, and yeah, and that was when I first discovered that my name had meaning, and so, yeah, that was very just interesting, just to go through that whole process. It's such a beautiful process, especially when it's done correctly. But
Mm.
yeah, it's so magical, just that whole process.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful story. It's funny because I've been looking at other just spiritual people talking and doing their content, and often their phone will ring or an alarm will go off. So right as you were saying that, an alarm went off. So I reached up and I touched it, and I was thinking, absolutely, you're right. You just got confirmation. And
Yeah.
chosen, that is a beautiful name. That's a powerful name.
Yeah, and that's very important for everyone, like especially people who don't feel like they have any purpose in this life. Like, why am I here? God chose you to be here, and
Mm.
that's the gift in itself. And, when you know how worthy you are and how valuable you are to God, that just makes your whole being more magical, more special.
Yeah, there's actually an affirmation that you can say in the morning, standing in the mirror that says, I am chosen, I am worthy, and I am ready to start your day every day.
Amen. Yep.
That's right. So,
Yep.
what part of your journey are you choosing to share with us today?
So I'm going to share with you guys kind of how I got into real estate and what was going on in my life during that time and what transpired and that kind of propelled me into the real estate kind of career.
Yeah.
And so let me take you back to 2016. So at this time, I was accounting manager at a healthcare firm, and I was on my way to be a director. So I was on training for director position. And yeah, I remember 2016 really well because I had so many health issues in 2016. And so I remember one day I was just making some breakfast and I kind of like fell on the floor and then I kind of blacked out and then I was living by myself at the time. So when I woke up, I'm like, oh man, I'm burning the pancakes. Oh my God. and and I'm like, what happened? What happened? Why did I fall on the floor? And so from there, I was like, man, I must be have diabetes or low blood sugar or something. Like I just didn't know why I would just fell on the floor. And so I went on this journey to, start going to doctors and saying, hey, I fell on the floor. Is something? Can you check me for diabetes or something? Like I don't know. Something must be wrong. And in Washington, child, it takes about 2-3 months just to get an appointment because the
Yeah.
lack of PCP providers. But so yeah, so this took some months. And then finally when I would get an appointment, like, oh, Chantel, your blood is fine, you're very healthy, all your levels are well. And I'm like, man, something just is not right. And so then I started to have these hunger like issues where, I would go to have
Mm.
lunch and then I remember being at work and I'm like, man, I'm starving 2 hours later. Like I'm literally starving. Like I didn't eat anything. And my boss was like, Chantel, didn't you just eat? I'm like, yeah, but I gotta go again. I'm starving. Like, what? You're not making any sense. And so these starvations started to kind of happen at night as well. Like I would go to bed and I'll wake up at 2, I wake up at 4, I wake up at 6, and I'm like,
Mm.
I am starving. Like, and I just couldn't place what's wrong. And so every time I go to the doctor, like, Chantel, you're fine, you're healthy. And so yes, I remember, I finally found a doctor and, she was like, oh, Chantel, you have H. pylori, a bacteria that, causes stomach ulcers. And so, yeah, it just
Mm.
kind of took me down this whole rabbit hole of stomach issues and not being able to eat what I want. Um, and so, yeah, that was just a lot of, weight on me, especially at work, because, America wants you to keep going. And I'm like, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I'm not resting enough at night, you know.
Yeah.
Also during this time, my company was having layoffs. So a lot of the workload from others kind of came in my lap on top of, having insomnia, not sleeping enough at night. And so, yeah, I was just really stressed and exhausted and overwhelmed. And I remember I was at work one day and I was packing my stuff, getting ready to go to the car. And I went to get up and I'm like, ow, 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 ow. And I'm like, Chantel, are you
Mm.
okay? And I'm like, no, I can't walk to my car. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just literally can't walk to my car. Like,
Wow.
let's take you to the hospital because you don't look so good. And so my coworkers actually, rushed me to the hospital. And when I got there, they're like, the lady just like, oh, you just have stress. And I'm like, what? I'm like, she must be don't know what she's doing. I'm like, stress cannot
Mm.
make you paralyzed like this, like where you can't walk, you can't feed yourself. I was crying, like, I couldn't even move my arm like this. I was just screaming and excruciating pain. And I'm like, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about. Stress can't do all that to you. So she's like, no, it's just stress. And I'm like, what? So you need to take it easy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was the first time in my life where I'm like, man, stress can kill you. Like it can make you paralyzed. I didn't even
Yes.
know that stress can do all that to you. I'm so used to being a strong woman and holding everything, that God had to like break me completely. And it's like, no, Chantel, You need to sit down over there and rest. And I'm like, but I gotta do work. I want to be the director. He's like, no, you need to sit down and rest. My child, rest, just relax. And so
Yeah.
I remember just, my mom had to fly in to Washington and help feed me and take care of me. And my coworkers was like, Chantel, when are you coming back to work? I'm like, I don't know. Like they just kept wanting to know. And I'm like, right now I can't even walk. I have to go to therapy. And then yeah, so eventually I end up having to resign because God's like,
Mm.
tell you this career path is not working for you. Accounting, we can work a lot of hours, especially during
Yeah.
busy season. And so
Were
uh,
you on your feet a lot when you were working
I was
there?
actually sitting down. I was at the computer screen. Your eyes kind of get exhausted just from looking at the computer screen all day. So I wasn't on my
Mm.
feet a lot, but I would work long hours, especially during audit season. you know, um,
Mm.
I wouldn't get home sometime until like 11, at night. And so, and had to be there really early the next day. And so, yeah, so I resigned. And during this time, I kind of just rested. And so I'm like, I need money, I need a job, but the job
Mhm.
that America wants to box me in is just not working for me at this time. So real estate came about because I love people. I'm very outgoing. So I love talking to people and being outside of the office. That was like a plus. I don't like to be in the office all day. And so I kind of got into real estate because it provided the flexibility that I needed. And when I felt good, I would run around showing houses, and when I didn't feel good, I would just rest. Um,
Mm.
and then the checks were big enough where, if I sold one house, I get 15 to 20,000. It would allow me the space to be able to like, okay, well, I can hold myself. If I sell two houses this month and I get 30,000, I'm good for a few months. I can rest. So it kind of provided that good happy medium. Um, and so yeah, so I've been in real estate ever since, and that was a transition in itself because I had to learn like, we're so accustomed to having stability, like, knowing every month I'm getting this amount of money. And that
Mm.
was a hard transition. I'm like, you know, I would sell two houses. And I'm like, God, you see my bank account now. It's been 3 months. I haven't sold anything. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, do you hear me? He's like, I hear you,
Mhm.
Chantel. And so that was a process in itself, just learning how to trust God, and that every time my account would get low, he would send me a client like out of the blue. Like I didn't even have to do anything. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I constantly saw him just providing for me. And yeah, and so that's lessons I had to learn, just how to trust God, and especially when you're an entrepreneur and you
Yeah.
don't know. I wasn't married at the time, so you don't know how your next income is going to be. And so yeah, I had to learn that, but he always provided. So
Yes.
um,
That makes me think of divine timing. I know that we've spoken earlier and we spoke about divine timing. And what stood out to me, because I used to work in accounting as well, is
mhm.
that just like you said, you weren't able to walk, but it didn't require you to be on your feet all day, right? You sat, you were sedentary, you were at your computer all day. And isn't it ironic that it took you not being able to walk and having to double check your health just to go into a career where you got to go, you got to show houses, you got to drive around, you got to be up, you got to
See
be
the
walking
sun,
around?
get you a
Isn't that
latte on the
ironic?
way.
Yes, yes. Won't he do it? It's interesting
Yeah,
because
and
the
I make
very thing you
more
needed.
sometimes than I did in
Yes,
accounting. Accounting
yes,
was fixed. In Washington, you
yeah,
can sell 10 houses and make almost 200K. So it's just
that's right.
you work less. I've learned how to work less and
Mhm.
achieve more. And so that's where I've been in that search of freedom. Like, oh, I don't have to do what they say you got to do. You don't have to do that.
That's right.
You don't have to work 60 hours a week. So yeah.
Mm. That's interesting. And so you integrated your health needs in with your career. So what does healing look like for you today?
I would say healing looks like a couple of things. One, it's like staying present, stay in the present moment. And I say that because I'm a person who's guilty. I can worry. I can be anxious about the future. Like I'm always a big planner. I want to know how things is going to go down, what's going to happen. And
Mhm.
I'm going to have a baby on this month so I can have it on this month. Like I'm such a planner. and
Yeah.
but when I'm staying in the present moment, I feel like I'm full. Like I lack nothing. And so for example, the other day, me and my husband and my daughter, we went to the park, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna do real estate today. I'm not gonna do a cooking channel today. I'm not gonna do anything today, but spend time with my family. I'm not doing no emails. And yeah, we just got some nice sun. We were by the lake, and yeah, I was just so full and so happy to see my daughter playing with my husband. I'm like, it just made me so full. Like I'm like, I lack nothing in this moment. I have everything that I need. And I was like, my cup is running over, right? I'm like so
Yeah.
just like, wow, this is it. The sun was hitting my face, just having fresh air and hearing the birds and seeing the ducks. And I was just so happy in that moment. And so I'm learning to do more of that where I kind of just enjoyed that moment and not worry about anything else going on in the world. So I try to incorporate that more throughout my week and
Yeah.
my day. And then another thing of how I'm healing in this season is just, I would say, finding joy in the small things.
Mm.
I, I like, for example, I wake up in the morning like at 5 a.m. and my husband's still sleeping and my baby's still sleeping. And I'm like, oh, I can go and have me a cup of coffee in front of the fireplace, and, set the tone for my day and, give thanks to God. And it's my moment, and it's my peaceful moment, especially as a mom. I don't know if you have kids, but if you have kids, you don't have time for yourself much. So you learn to just anytime I get like a 5 minute break or like an hour, I'm like, she's sleeping. Woo, watch my TV
Right.
show. Let me do something for me. So I'm trying to learn how to just enjoy those small moments.
Yes, absolutely. It
Yeah.
sounds like you've learned to be mindful. And I have two sons.
Oh,
Yes, 23 and 15.
wow.
So it's a little different now. I've had to shift my role as a mom, especially for my 23-year-old, because he's independent
Yeah.
enough. And so even though he's always going to need his mom, there are times when I know I can't overmother and I have to let
That's
him be
true.
his own man.
That's
Um,
and that's a challenge in itself because you don't want them to be so protected, but like he
yeah.
can make decisions, and try to
Oh,
let
yeah.
him, grow. And that's not easy in itself, I can imagine.
Yes. But it's about being present, like you said, and being mindful. And there was a beautiful woman that I met in high school, and she recently passed away.
Mm,
And I went to her service a few days ago. And one of the things that stood out for me was that everyone was just speaking about how she loved to take photos. She would bring you into a photo and make you, even if you don't like taking pictures, make you take a picture with her, but that she actually lived the moment.
mm.
And this is about living the moment, remembering to be mindful.
Yes, that is so
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and kind of slowing down, and um, being listening to your body, what do you need in this moment? Like there's times where like I'm like, Chantel, what do you need? I'm like, right now I just need to hold my baby girl and watch a show and eat some popcorn. Like that's what I need right now, you know. Um, and that changes from day to day, and but what do you need? Sometimes I need a nice healthy meal. I'm like, I just my body feel like I'm depleted. I need some salads or something, or I
Yeah.
need to drink more water, So just really being in tune to what do you need. Um, I think that's something else that I'm learning in this season.
Yeah.
And if I need to pull back, sometimes like God's like, Chantel, don't overwork. I'm learning that one thing I'm just learning like this week is
Yeah.
like abundance. Like when you have an abundant mentality, abundance comes with rest. Like
Mm.
I used to think you got to do more to be more abundant, but the more I stop doing so much and the more, just because I'm not doing something doesn't mean God is not working on my behalf in the background.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm learning to just fall back, and I don't have to do so much. God is still providing, even when you're, just resting, and the more that I rest, the more people come to me like, oh, I want to buy a house. I'm like, oh, okay. I
Mhm.
was off
There you
today, but
go.
okay. you know,
Divine timing. There it is.
yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't have to chase, so I'm learning not to have to chase people and, you know, just, just relax, and God is still working even when you're not. And so it's okay to
Yeah.
take a break and be, still for a moment. And so, yeah, I'm learning that I'm more abundant when I'm resting. That's the little discovery that I made this week. I'm like, oh, things are moving faster when I'm not in the way, you know?
There you go. Get out of your own way. And
Yeah.
resting is an action, right? Our brains are still active and our bodies are, doing what they need to do when we are not moving around, we're not eating, we're not drinking, we're just resting. So there's still activity going on. And I know that you sell real estate here in Washington and in Tanzania. And so, what's the difference between kind of the busy, everyday hustle mentality in the US and what you find in Tanzania?
Well, I think, Africa is a different space, especially Tanzania, um, Tanzania, we didn't have no road names, we didn't really have no address, unless it's like the bank or something, but the local people don't really have no address. And so, the society is still becoming more structured. And I think we're just starting to get street names, some people, but there's a lot of roads that doesn't have a name. And so, yeah, there's no title company. There's no, you know, it's just more you work one-on-one with the individual. There's no MLS in Africa, well, in Tanzania. I don't know about other countries, but they don't have an MLS where you can see what has sold around, your house. And there's also no structured community. Like you can have a big mansion next to a smaller house. It's not like all the houses on this road is big and gated. It's not that kind of you know plotted plan. So yeah, it's just different. And like Tanzania works really well with relationships. Like it's based off who you really won't make it and survive if you go there and you want to be isolated and stick to yourself, because the community is what kind of fosters everything. So for example, if you go to Tanzania and you want to get a bank account, you got to go to the chief. You got to go know the chief, and
Yeah.
the chief has to sign a letter for you saying, yeah, they live in this community, and then you take it to the bank, then you can open a bank account. And that's no different from real estate. Like the people seeing you in the house or seeing you build your house or seeing you in the neighborhood, that is worth more than a contract, because
Mm.
people can make up contracts and steal all the time, like and give you fake stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really, does the community know you? Like, oh yeah, I know such and such live there. Yeah, I know them. So that's how
Mm.
Africa works. Um, it's really on relationships, and people need to know you for every little thing, especially to buy property. It's oh, do you know someone who's selling their plot? Oh yeah, I know someone, because it's not this MLS that you can go and search. There's no Zillow. So you
Mm.
really have to know someone who knows someone who's selling a plot to be able to buy. So it's a little different there.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and here is, it's completely, you can run ads on Facebook. You can just do so much. You have the MLS. You can buy Zillow leads. You can do so much, but that's not how it works in Tanzania. So
Yeah. And it sounds like your experience with being more mindful, learning how to rest, how to slow down, and also just building relationships and being a realtor, getting to know people, getting yourself out there, that helped you in your community in Tanzania, because it sounds like a completely different pace. There's a saying people talk about in the islands, you're on island time now. So it
Yeah.
sounds like Tanzania has their own timing.
They do, child. You would go to the bank, you would get frustrated. Like when I was living there, I went to the bank. I didn't know the bank was gonna take me 3 hours. It's like there's no line. Everyone just go
Hmm.
up to the counter, and it's just no order. So when you go to the bank, you just learn to go full, not hungry. And just now I go, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be here for an hour or two. But
Yeah.
people who just moved there, they're like, oh my God, like, why is it taking so long? But everyone just taking their time. And then when they do meet with someone, they're just talking and talking, like, oh my God, 30 minutes, So
Yeah.
um, it's just a different society, it's definitely slower. And I had to learn patience in Tanzania. Like, patience goes a long way because
Hmm.
you go get your hair done and you'll be waiting and people just get in front of you and get their hair done. Like, I was here first. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. They must know her real well.
So I'm like, it's so different, I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta be more aggressive and just go and sit in the chair. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
So it's just so different. Um, but yeah, but also, for me, I I'm able to thrive in any society, in any environment. And so, when I go to Tanzania and I go to the village, I'm very humble, and that goes a long way, being able to meet someone where they are and treat someone with respect and in love and kindness, even if they don't have everything that you have, and that's something
Hmm.
that, I think it helps me a lot in Tanzania. And it helps me here because there's times when someone wants to buy $1 million house, and then there's some times when someone wants to buy a $200,000 house, but I don't look and treat anyone differently because of what they want. I help you get what you want, and meet you where you are. And so that's a skill set that I had to learn, you know, that being humble and respectful and no matter if you're in the Maasai village, and you go into those little, like the little grass hut things, and that's their home, and you have to respect them and take off your shoes, and you learn to just be kind to everyone and be respectful to everyone. And so, yeah, I think learning how to adjust and um, just meeting people where they are, I think is a good skill set to have for real estate, to be a realtor. And,
Yeah.
and, and people really appreciate that because, I go hard for everyone, and I'm very honest and transparent. And I'm like, this house is not going to work. I don't care if it's a $200,000 house. This one got, this one got rats in the attic. We're not going to get this one, like, I
That's
don't know,
right.
but I'm very, honest, like, we can find something better. And so I will never let you buy something that I wouldn't buy myself. So
And that makes you a better realtor. That makes you trustworthy. That makes you someone I would trust to help me find a house. And when you said love and kindness, I got another, little bell went off on
what?
my phone, and I thought, oh,
Oh,
there's another key. There she goes.
confirmation.
That's your superpower, right? That's what makes you trustworthy. Is that you lead with love and kindness. You're open, and that you're going to actually look out for me and not just try to push me into a sale that might not be right or a home that might have some issues. You're really out there being honest. And it's that sense of community, that sense of, I know you. I can always come back to you and tell you that I
Yeah.
found something in the basement, right? So you're going to look
Yes.
out for me in the beginning. I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
very important. And some agents are not like that. Sometimes they'll just tell you they want to get the deal done. For
Yeah.
me, sometimes it looks something like, actually, it's not a good time to sell your house right now. Unfortunately, you're going to be in a loss position,
Yeah.
and yeah, this is not a good time for you right now. So that's me being
Yeah.
honest. And sometimes you have to walk away from, a deal and not just put it on the market knowing that they're going to, not do so well. Right. So,
Yeah. And that definitely takes practice. It's hard because our culture here in America is so stressful. We're stress driven. We're taught to just go hard, and you can rest when you die. type attitude, and you really can't, or you will, because stress kills.
Yeah.
So, are there tips? Do you have a grounding practice that you use to keep you level-headed that you can share with people today?
For me, I'm big on journaling, and I say that because, my journal looks different every day. Sometimes it's a prayer list,
Mm.
but sometimes I use it when I'm really worried and anxious. Like, if I find where I'm getting ready to go to bed and just something's bothering me, I will write down every little thing that's bothering me. And next to it, I will write solutions. So if I can find a solution, that might be, referring this deal to someone else. Maybe it's too far for me and I'm getting burnt out driving far. Whatever
Mm.
the issue is that's burning me out, if I can find a solution, I will write a solution down, and try to get it off my mind, get it off my out of my head, out of my spirit, and just case closed. And if there's something that I feel like I can't control, that I can't do anything about, then the solution is I give it to God. And I literally write, give it to God, and I stop worrying about it from that day forward. I'm like, I'm not going to deal with this. I done gave it to God. I don't have anything else to say with this one. And
Mm.
so later when I'm, reflecting, I go back and I'm like, oh, God answered this one, check mark. He resolved. Man, that was Bob. That was keeping me up at night, but he resolved that one. Check mark, and
That's right.
and then you start seeing all these check marks. Like, oh, God did hear you. When I wrote, God, I really desire to have a baby. I know I'm 40, but they say you're too old, but I really want to have a baby. And the doctor would be saying, you only have 1% chance. I'm like, no, I feel like I can still have one, And
Right.
but then I remember I prayed about it and I wrote it down 2 years ago, and then like, oh, I have a baby now, and check mark, and so it's good to see that He always honors His word, and He's so faithful, and He never failed me. He never will fail me, and I can trust that because when I look back, He has answered everything, and even when something was a no, like God's rejection is your protection, and I got something 10 times better with a no. If it was
Mm.
a job and I'm like, oh, I really wanted that job, He'll give me a better job that pays more, or you
Yeah.
know, he always gives you more, even with a no, you know, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's what keeps me grounded, is knowing that God will never fail me, and that look at all the times that He provided for you, Chantel. Look at all the prayers that He answered for you. And if you don't write them down, you get amnesia because you swear He don't hear you, but He always hears you, And
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's what keeps me grounded and not so anxious. Like, especially when I'm feeling like I'm worrying, I'm like, nah, He always, resolves everything. And so that I know is true. Even if I'm in the middle of a storm and I don't see a way of resolution, He will always come and resolve. So
Yeah.
that's how I stay
Wonderful.
grounded and just journal everything. And I guess it's a form of manifestation. I don't know. Like, I remember
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
write it down and then it happens. And then I can, oh, it happened. I remember when I wanted to build a
Hmm.
house. I built a house in Tanzania, and I'm like, well, at first I'm like, God, I want to build our own dream house, and I didn't know how we were gonna do it. We didn't have that much money, but I
Mm.
had enough money for the plot, so I bought the plot. I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, well, then we started to use Pinterest, and I started to just kind of put what I would like in the house. Me and my husband were like, oh, I like this, like this. I like big windows, lots of windows, you know, and so from that, we had someone design the house for us. I still didn't know how I was gonna pay for the house. I'm like, you know, I'm like, okay, God, I'm just dreaming. But I still was faithful. I kept writing down what I wanted and how I want the house to look and things that I like. I love brick exposure in the kitchen and the fireplace. I could just, I love wood beams exposure in the ceilings. And so I kind of wrote down everything that I like. And I'm like, God provided. He provided the financing, the money. It came out of nowhere. I'm like, wow, wow, and God provided. And I looked up and I had a house and I'm like, oh, but it started from paper. So,
It's called mindful manifestation. And the first step is to be honest, brutally honest about what you really want.
yeah,
And if you're honest about what you want, you won't sabotage yourself,
yeah,
right? You write down what you really want, and then you let it go. You walk
yeah,
away and don't obsess about it, right? And the second thing is that is helpful is to keep a tidy, like organized environment, right? You don't want to have a messy environment. You want to invite in that good energy. And
yeah,
so keep your environment tidy and organized. If you need to do a daily cleanup, it's best to do it in the morning. And then finally, it's just have some self-care rituals. So, like you resting is
yeah,
helping you to manifest, right? You being mindful and slowing down and just enjoying the moment and not worrying about how it's going to come to you, right? You're like,
yeah,
oh, I don't have the money for this house, but I'm just going to write down what I want and I'm going to keep going and I'm
yeah,
going to trust that it's going to come and then it comes.
yeah.
That is important for better manifesting. And you can pray, praise, be grateful, show gratitude every day, and just trust that whatever will come, will come. It may not be exactly how you thought it would be, but as you go back and you look at what you wrote, you'll be amazed at the things that actually ended up coming to you.
Well, I'm learning that God is always, his idea is always better than yours, and
Mm-hmm.
bigger. And sometimes we limit ourselves. And
Yeah.
I remember when I first came to my house, I'm like, God, this is too much. Like, can we just shave off some of the extra rooms? Like, this is, it came out bigger than I thought. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
this is too much. And God's like, no, she's like, that's how that's for you. So being able to receive as well, when you do manifest things, being in an open hand position, able to receive it. And, that's something I'm still learning how to receive, and to say thank you, Father, and not like, God, take this away. This is too much.
That's right. You have to remember that you're worth it, right? That you were chosen and that you're worthy and that you're worth it, that those blessings that are coming to you, you actually do deserve them.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
How do you feel about just that sacred space and when people are trying to pray and they're in the middle of a service?
Well, that's one thing I actually learned in Tanzania because, even within my husband's family, you know, some of them are Muslims, some of them are Christians. And then you have the tribe levels, where people
Mm,
have the tribe religions. And so Tanzania is the first place where I kind of seen everyone operate in harmony,
yeah.
and to be respectful, you know. And so there I've had to learn, like, there's times where, I have to go to a school or something and I have to dress in a Muslim attire because, or if you go to like some of the government places, they want you to dress in a certain way. And so you have to learn to be respectful. You're covered up, and so that's the first place where I've learned to respect everyone's religion.
Mm,
And, you know, I didn't see the clip or anything, but, it's very important to just respect people's space and their
yeah.
privacy. If you want to come at someone, you can come outside of their sacred space. But when people are worshiping God, everyone worship God the way they want to worship God. And you have to respect that. And everyone who's worshiping God is not perfect. Everyone has fallen, everyone has did
Right.
something that they don't want anyone to know, and so but God still loves you anyways, you know,
Yeah.
God is love. And so when you can operate from a place of love, um, and respect everyone's religious, beliefs,
Yeah.
then I feel like we can all coexist, in harmony. And so that's something I've learned to do, even within, my husband's family, just, wow, some people are different than me, but it's okay,
Yeah.
and if I have to be covered up for this event, I'm going to be respectful,
Yeah, that's right.
if someone doesn't eat pork, I'm going to be respectful because that's me seeing them. I see you and I respect you. And if we can all do that, I think the world will be a better place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what made me think of that was you speaking of acting from a place of love and kindness and the amount of respect that you learn to have for other people, and even their pace being different from you, the culture being different, people stepping in front of you, right, at the hair appointment and getting their hair done before you, and you've been waiting, but learning how to treat people with respect in everyday situations, even if it's so different from you.
Yep.
I think in this situation, what pulled at my heartstrings was it felt like a diversion. It felt
Mm,
like a diversion from the real story. Like politics do not belong in our churches. And in that space, that was their safe space to worship.
yep.
And I believe in the integrity and the rights of journalists. I believe in the integrity and the rights of people to worship. And so we have to lead with love and kindness in
I
their safe
concur.
space.
You
Yeah,
can journal all you want, but not in my home.
that's right.
Not when I'm at church. Not
That's right.
we have everyone's has a right to their sacred space.
Mm.
And we have a right to protect that sacred space. And keep it clean and sacred and holy. And you don't have a right to disturb that. No one has a right to disturb that. You can do that. You can do your job at a different time,
That's
but
right.
not here. Maybe they don't handle things the way that you want them to handle things. And that can be up for discussion. But at the end of the day, we're all human and God loves each and every one of us. And we're all chosen and everyone's chosen to do their job. And so we have to respect each other. So
Thank you. Well, I love that perspective. And I'm glad you didn't see the clip
I
because
didn't
you're
see
speaking
it.
just from, your experience and how you interact with people. And that's, I think, what needs to be heard is that this is not about politics. Just saying, we need to respect each other and respect the rights that we have. That's what we're fighting for, right? For our human
Yeah.
rights, our constitutional rights, our civil rights.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. But
Well,
yeah,
thank you. Well, thank you. How do you say thank you in Tanzania?
Asante.
Asante.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Asante
being
Sana.
vulnerable
Thank you very
today.
much.
Yes, Asante.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And how can people contact you if they're interested in taking you on as a realtor in Washington or if they're looking at property in Tanzania?
You can just follow me on Instagram at Chantel underscore Richard underscore real estate. So you can just send me a direct message. Yeah, that's how you can contact me.
Awesome. And you also have a food channel, don't you? You've been doing some food videos.
Yes, Chad, that's new. My new adventure is I love to cook, and so I've been learning how to film cooking.
Mhm.
Filming is a challenge for me more than cooking. Cooking is easy for me and fun, but the filming part is not so fun and editing. So I'm still having a learning curve with that, but I have a new YouTube channel called Taste of Momella. And so
Mhm.
I've been giving out recipes because everyone loves my food. So I'm like, how can I record these and people can make them themselves? But yeah, so that's my new adventure. So I'm hoping God bless my channel and I'm hoping that God bless your podcast and that you continue to get more amazing guests on your channel and that you can continue to shed some light and peace and healing for the world. And like I said, we all have our purpose and our in what God wants us to do. And so may He bless you on your efforts to grow your channel as well.
Thank you. And I look forward. I look forward to breaking bread with you someday. You're gonna have to cook and invite us over. Maybe we'll
I
come to
can do
Tanzania.
that. Yes, anytime. Yes, I
Wonderful.
love to cook for people. So
Well, thank you. That goes along with the theme of love and kindness.
yes, yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me and may God bless.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Bye.